And we are live. Hello, my friend. This is Nzube, and welcome to another episode of the USA Playbook Podcast, where we hear stories from about how other international students got scholarships, visas, and US jobs. This is the podcast that saves you time as an international student. Joining me today is Kush, a PhD student at the University of Buffalo. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Nzube.
Thank you for agreeing to join us today. We're happy to have you and hear more about your story. So to get things started, we'll just start with an introduction. Tell us your name, your full name, then the country you're originally from, what you're currently doing, and which states are you located at?
Okay. My name is Kuhle Mbawu. You can call me Kush though. I'm originally from South Africa, and I'm studying at university at Buffalo, which is in Buffalo. Buffalo is in New York, and I'm in New York also. So yeah, I'm doing my PhD in theater, and that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, throughout this interview, I'll be calling you Kush.
Of course, no problem, please. Yeah.
All right, so let's go all the way back to South Africa. South Africa. What university did you attend there, and what was the highest qualification that you had from South Africa?
In South Africa, my undergrad I changed careers, first of all. I first started finance, and then I went to work, and then I was like,
Hold on, you're saying so many things. So finance was your undergrad degree?
Yes, basically.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then I graduated, I went to work, and then I was like, when I joined the workforce, the corporate, I was like, okay, this is not necessary for me. I didn't feel it that much. So I was like, you know what is interesting me while I'm still working in finance, right? And I started going for auditions, and then I found out there's a program that you can go for in Johannesburg at Market Theatre, which is like for acting.
Wait. You're working.
I'm working full time.
In finance. Can you give us like the year that this was happening so that we can follow that timeline? So you graduated what year? What year did you graduate your undergrad?
It was in 2016. Yeah, 2016. And then I'm working
which university?
University of Pretoria.
Okay, University of Pretoria, study finance, 2016. All right, you started working.
And then I started working
in finance.
Okay. And then as I was working full time, I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this any longer. Okay. And then that's when I started looking for opportunities to study part-time acting, right? And then that's when I saw like a program in acting in the Market Theatre.
Okay, what piqued your interest in acting?
It's something, for me, I kept on seeing opportunities. Like, for instance, what excites me, what makes me happy, basically. That was like something I was like, okay, I love doing arts. It was not even about just acting. It's about like doing arts, being in an art space. I liked going to museums. And I was like, I wanted to figure that part of myself out. So I found this program. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me apply to this, because it was also part-time. So it could allow me, I could do it over the weekends. I'm not doing anything over the weekends. So when I'm not working, I can do this. Like, it's still fulfilling my hobby. Basically, it was my hobby.
Okay.
But it was a part-time program. So as I'm busy doing this, I'm like, okay, I'm loving this. And then 2020, I think it's 2020, one or something. And then there was out of nowhere, I'm just like, okay, acting arts in South Africa is not gonna get you far. I don't know. I felt like
Okay.
it's not that broad enough. You might have to branch out to another country in order for you to pursue it in a much more bigger
Bigger
scale, and
scale.
and
Okay.
also much more opportunities.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, what do I want? Like I saw myself like Broadway things. I was thinking Broadway. So
Nice.
if I'm thinking if I'm thinking Broadway, where is Broadway? It's it's the
It's in the
United States.
US.
So what are you sitting here doing? So I was like, okay. Now I have to apply for programs. Now that I know that I'm very interested in this from that part-time program, I was like, okay, now I need to apply internationally.
Okay.
So in South Africa, most of like funded scholarships are mostly in the UK. So that's
Oh,
where I started like more, well, maybe that's what that was my frame of reference. I don't know what, because I was just looking at those schools, and I applied so much, and
do you mean schools that have
Mhm.
affiliations with organizations in South Africa
Yes,
that have
that can
scholarships?
offer you funding. That can offer you funding.
Okay. Okay.
So for me, in my mind, that was the only way that I could go to another country. Like it was when I know that this has a scholarship, and the scholarship is affiliated with my country in some way or the other.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that was
Okay.
my thinking. I'm like, okay, which organization can provide me scholarship? And I was like, and I kept on applying, and I kept so rejected. I was rejected by most schools, and they were mostly in the UK.
And you were applying for programs in line with theater.
Yes, it was theater, communication and arts. Also, it was not also like technical theater. So
Okay.
basically, it was within the ambit of the arts, whether it was communication, you know, technical theater and stuff. It was not just acting, because in my I wanted to broaden I knew that it's not I cannot just limit myself into acting, because acting is not like that stable. You need
Okay.
something stable, but it should be still remain within the realms of arts. So
Okay.
I was like, okay, let me apply to programs that can offer me that, but I can also still go to acting. So yeah, I applied to schools like in the UK, and yeah.
And this was around 2020.
20. Okay, but I applied for it was actually I don't want to say it was I had applied for quite some time to schools.
Prior
I
to
don't
then.
prior to that.
Okay.
So I think, but I was not that serious, because I still have this part-time program. I still have this part-time program, but I'm like, okay, anytime I see like, oh, this school is offering a scholarship, I just apply. I think it started even in 2018 or 2017. I had been doing it. Every time I
Okay.
see a scholarship or opportunity, I just apply. And then so I got rejected, and then I was like, okay, I don't know. I felt like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. And then I think it was during COVID,
Mm.
2021. I
2020. COVID was 2020.
2020, yeah, 2020, yeah. During that period in time, it was 2020. What happened? Okay, so I applied. I was never that much on social media before
Okay.
those times. It was during 20 like the COVID era, when I was like busy scrolling and stuff like that. And then I think that's when I started being active on Twitter too. And then I see people talking about, hey, these people are waiving their application fees. There was
Yeah.
a lot of
Mm.
waiving application fees waivers. I was like,
Yes, in COVID year, yes, that's true.
I was like, okay. If I only have to do is just apply without, because that's another thing that deters you from application, because you look at things like it's in pounds, it's in currency, like you don't
Yeah.
have all the money. And then they were saying they were waiving. I was like, I would make, so what I would do every Saturday, it was more like an assignment. I would literally go apply for super. I was applying everywhere. I was applying in UK and also here in America. And then I think that's when I started to also apply, considering America. I was like,
Okay.
oh my God, actually I can do this. I was like, why didn't I think of America for so long? Because I was like, okay. And then I think I followed an account on Twitter. It's his name is Tunde. I think his name is Tunde, and he was talking about BGSU.
Okay.
I'm like, what is BGSU? I've never heard of that, but I'm just applying anyway. I was like, I didn't even know. I was just I went he listed. I think he was listing all the schools that didn't want any application fees.
Okay, in 2020.
Yeah, 2020. I was like, okay, these are the schools. I would go and research about them. What is their, okay, do they have any arts degrees? What are their arts degrees? Oh, I was like, okay, these are the schools. And then I would apply. But I didn't apply to many individuals, because at that time, I did in America, because at that time I had applied so much to the UK ones. Like, you get to a point where you're just tired. It's like, hey.
You know, you get some admissions.
Mm-hmm.
You get some admissions from the UK.
I got an admission in the UK at University of Sussex.
Okay,
Sussex. Yeah. But they're not offering you any funding. So you're getting the admission. So I applied to in South Africa, there's a organization called the National Arts Fund. Yeah. It's somewhere like that. I'm paraphrasing the name of the company, of the organization. Basically, it's about the arts in South Africa. So it would literally funds you if you're gonna have, like, it can give you a scholarship, but you have to present a lot of evidence that you're gonna come back. So I did all of that, and I still didn't qualify. I still didn't get the funding. And so I wanted to go. I was so disappointed, because I think that was the only school that took me. And
Sussex.
Sussex, yeah. But I had applied to other schools. I applied to London School of Economics. There I was applying for communications mainly. I had applied to SAOS. I don't know what the name is. And then
universities in the UK.
Yeah, those are in the UK. I applied to also in Edinburgh, it's in Scotland, and I applied to Glasgow. All of this.
Many universities, and you were applying over several years.
Yes.
Over several years.
Because usually, like, every year they'll be like, okay, these are the schools that are offering scholarships. Basically, if I see, I didn't care. Like, the first thing that I check before I apply, are you offering me a scholarship? Am I gonna get an application waiver? Because I was like, I'm not gonna. There's no use me applying to a school. I'm not gonna afford it, even if I'm struggling.
So you give me admission and I can't come at the end of the day.
Yeah,
because there's no scholarship. Or I pay the application fee, and then I get admitted and no scholarship, and
you've just waited your
money and all of that. Yeah. Wow. So before we continue, your story is really inspiring, and we're really going to get into how you were able to present your application in a very strong way for this admission, the schools that you were applying to. But before we get to that, it's really inspiring. You started in finance. You went to school, you studied finance, and you got a job in finance, because really, how do you make money? You have to provide value. Yes, your passion was arts, but you didn't have enough value at that time to provide in the line of arts. What you had was finance, and so you got a job in finance, but you were learning the arts part time.
Yeah.
Because you might be saying, follow your passion, follow your passion. You're not really paid because of your passion. Yeah, you are paid because of the value that you provide.
Yeah. That's
So you had a finance job, and then you were learning your passion by the side. Yes,
yeah.
you still get it. I really want to know how you were able to sell yourself as an ideal arts person, although your bachelor's clearly states finance.
Oh
We'll,
my gosh.
we'll get to that. Another thing you mentioned I want to highlight for our viewers is you said you went online, you were on Twitter, and you were getting information. Yes, so you created an environment for yourself where you were getting the information that you needed concerning this whole thing of studying abroad. You hear that this school is waiving application fees. You went to apply. This school offers scholarship. You went to apply. You kept yourself in the know. Yes, which
Yeah.
is something that is really helpful for anyone that is interested in studying in the US. So you had your share of UK, and several other people that have been to the podcast, they always a lot of them have an experience applying to UK,
Yeah.
getting admitted, but no scholarship.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your US applications now. Which universities did you apply to in the US?
Surprisingly, in the US, I only applied to, I only applied to BGSU, to tell you the truth. Uh, and
Sorry, hold on, sorry. Just for people that are watching, BGSU means Bowling Green State University.
University, yes.
Bowling Green State University. That was where we met actually, because I also had my master's in Bowling Green State University. Okay, please go ahead.
So I applied to Bowling Green State University. I'm like, okay, they have a theater program here. I applied there, and then obviously now I have to prove my, like, as you say. And the reason why I didn't apply to many, because also when the timing I was applying, it was I think it was most of them had closed. Most of them had closed like December. I think I applied in Jan or
Okay.
yeah. So most of the application had closed in America, because in America most of them closed in
Close
December.
December. Yes, December 15th or December 31st.
Yeah, so I was just looking for the ones that are open, and BGSU luckily was still open. I was like, okay, quickly send this in and apply. And there was no application fee. I'm like, oh, this is it. And then there was also the you see that thing, America.
Grant assistantship.
No, GRE.
GRE. Oh, GRE. Okay.
I'm like, okay, they also waived that. I'm like, ooh, this is
Beautiful.
I'm like, oh yes. I'm like, oh, this is me. I'm definitely applying, because also that, most of, like, when you were applying to America, you have to do the GRE, GMAT. I was like, these things cost
Money, yeah.
and you're like, so
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is my opportunity. It was more like a sign. I was like, oh, and then I applied to only be a BGSU. And they were so, after I applied, they were put on I tried to organize people, because, I'm also, I don't know whether I should talk about the application processes yet, but, oh gosh, it was, because, I'm working.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm working in finance, so that I will have to. Oh Lord, it was shambles, because now I have to convince my bosses to, what are they gonna say, because they don't know about arts. So, but I managed to.
You mean your recommendation letters or what? You're convincing them that you're leaving? What do you mean?
I was also, because if when you are in finance, they expect, okay, if you're leaving, you're going to another finance company. What do you mean now? Where are you going? What?
They're going to art from finance, because that's a whole that's the transition. That's a really big transition. Okay, you applied to only Bowling Green State University, and someone else that was on the podcast earlier, Chinwindo, She also applied to only Bonny State University. So it's really interesting that people can apply to just one university and get admission and scholarship and all that. So let's talk about your profile when you were applying to Bonny State University. You had a bachelor's in finance, which was not relevant, but then I would also like to hear how good was your first degree? I mean, in terms of CGPA, was it very good? I don't know if you use first class 2-1 and 2-2 in South Africa as your grading system.
In South Africa, we use percentages.
Okay.
Basically, with my finance, there's nothing I could say about it, like literally, because it was not relevant to to my application. So that's weird to tell you. But I was I think it was 70 to 80%. That's way. So we use percentages in South Africa.
Okay.
So
what were the other things that you had in your application, and what do you feel made your application strong?
Okay, it was the recommendation letters, to tell you the truth. It was how also the effect that I was doing part-time. I was, throughout my years, like growing up, I was always involved in some sort of, like, whether it was church. So I had to involve my church people. In church, I was in a singing group.
Okay.
Throughout, like, also I've always been doing active in terms of arts, whether it was high school and stuff. So I had to rely on that, and not the fact that I was doing finance. It was literally disregarded. I didn't refer to it at all, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Using my experience from when I was in Sunday school, and then becoming a Sunday school teacher, organizing acting for children in church, singing in church, and then the auditions that I attended, and the fact that I was in advertising also. Like, for instance, I was part of an advertising commercial in South Africa. And so I use that as, like, okay, I know how the production world operates, because I've been I've attended also a lot of auditions. And then also the fact that I was doing my part-time in market theater, I had to use that. So that counted more than anything. The fact that I was I was at in market theater doing acting part-timely. And then where my recommenders came in was the fact that you write, like the recommendation letters. I just told them they cannot. The only thing that could say is that, okay, what qualities do you have?
Okay.
What qualities do you have? Because they cannot talk about finance. It's irrelevant.
So it was your supervisors at work that recommended you?
Yes.
Did you get any of your professors, like in the past when you were in Pretoria, to recommend you to?
I did have and also with him, he was like, okay, this is what I know of her. Like, this is the type of person she is in school. She's a very dedicated, reliable, like, also it reflects also in the marks that she, that's the type yeah. And also with how I relate in work, how do I show up at work? How am I at work? Do I deliver and stuff? How adaptable? So those are things that we were focusing on more than the actual work. It was like, what are my qualities? How you show up.
Okay.
How you show up, because now you're changing these. So they cannot say anything. They cannot
about arts. They can't say anything about arts because you're from finance. Wow. So if I'm to pinpoint the documents that you submitted that carried the most weight, it was the recommendation letters, your CV, and your SOP.
Yes, SOP, and what is statement of
yeah, the personal statement.
yeah.
Yes, where you told the story. Like all these things that you were saying Sunday school, you were doing this, all these different things that you were doing. Because in arts, like in performance arts, it's not like data where I can just do a project and put it online.
Yeah.
So whatever thing I'm telling them, I can put a link and they'll see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Can you see what you've acted in the past if it was not like produced to be a movie or something? Yeah. So the SOP, your CV, where you were talking about some of those experiences, but you might not have been able to add some of them like the one you did in church in the
Yeah.
CV. So that's where SOP now comes in. And then the recommendation letters that spoke about your qualities, not about arts where you were going to, but about the kind of person you are
Yes.
and the way you show up to work.
Yeah.
Wow, this is good. So, guys that are watching, I hope you guys are learning a lot, especially people that, because I have a lot of people reach out to me that they want to change field. You need to have done something in the past that makes you credible for that change.
Yeah.
So yes, your first degree was in finance, but there are a million other things that you are done in arts. Yes, which you could tell a story about.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get into whether you got scholarship or not, I want to ask about your degree. Your degree, you said you use percentages. Did you have to evaluate your transcripts before submitting it to BGSU, or you submitted it like that?
I think, how did it happen? First of all, I didn't have to do any language with South Africa.
You didn't have to do any of that.
My transcripts, I did. I did. I remember. So there was a place in South Africa where you go. I had to go to my school and then go to an organization where they I don't know what transcribe it, evaluate and then convert it and then make it and give it. To tell you the truth, that process was just happened because I was not even supposed. I just had to link that company with the university, so that they send it directly to the.
They send it directly. Okay. But the company was there in South Africa.
Yeah, it's in South Africa.
Wow, that's really good. Yeah. That's really good. Usually, it's also what happens with a couple of the evaluation companies, like if you use WES or Spantran or some other evaluation companies, when you send it to them, if the school is asking for an official transcript, they can send it directly to the school on your behalf, just like what also happened to you as well. Okay, so well done. That was a lot of work that you went through, which we thank God has paid off for you.
Oh, I know. 2020 was just like, oh my God, I was up and down. And when you're going back to your school, because now you had graduated so long, they're like, oh, it's like you are doing it. It's a drag. And also having to remember your professors, the administrators, also proving your case, because they have other things to do, like they're writing papers. So
okay, so let's talk about scholarship. Let's talk about scholarship. So did you get a scholarship from BGSU, Boringo State University?
Okay, since I applied too late, I didn't get a scholarship in 2020.
Okay.
And so I said, I'm going to defer it. I deferred it because I'm like, okay, because they're saying, oh, we no longer have scholarship, but you have accepted you.
Okay, so admission without scholarship. Similar to what happens in the UK. All right.
So I'm like, okay. And then I see that like there's an option to defer. I'm like, let me defer this. I just that was like, I'm just gonna defer it to the next year, and then I'm gonna spend the whole year trying to find a scholarship.
Okay. Okay. So the admission you initially got was for fall 2020?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so then you deferred it to fall 2021?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So, and then And then I was like, okay, that was discouraging. But I was not discouraged more than anything. I was like, okay. I was not that worried about it. I was just like, I'm just gonna defer it and then see what happens in the next year.
Okay.
And then
So what happened in the next year?
in the next year, I called them. I have to contact them. Hey, I want to come this year. And they said, okay. Like, and then from that, I wrote an email that I'm like, okay, I'm coming this year. And from there, I get an email at night that day. They saying, okay, if you're gonna come, then and then they start to, okay, this is the school, we are giving you a scholarship and everything like that, but you have to
Wow.
accept it within this time because there's a time frame where people want to know who's coming to school or who's not. And then
Yes.
I took acceptance. I was
Usually
like,
before.
yes. I was like, I'm taking this acceptance. What do you mean? And then I was like, and then they they gave me the offer basically. The offer was like, you first accept it, and then you get a scholarship, and then you become a graduate assistant. So I
Okay.
was like, this sounds good to me. I was like, okay, a scholarship and a job. I was like, oh, definitely, I'm coming. I took it. I took it like that day, the day. But what was amazing was the fact that had I not initiated that conversation, I don't know
You
what
might
it would
not
have
have come.
been. Yes. So I
Right.
had to be also proactive in terms of like constantly like keeping in touch with a graduate coordinator. I'm like, okay, now can I come? But I'm still gonna need scholarship. They're like, of course, here is the scholarship and all of that. So I was so happy, and then I got all the scholarship. By April, everything was like sorted out. I think by the 1st of April, I had accepted admission. I knew that I had a graduate assistance. Letters was coming, like I-20s, all that. You know those emails. With the moment you say yes, it's like
Yeah. This
all those emails
going
started.
through the process to get you onboarded with your I-20 and everything. We'll get to the visa experience very soon. But I really just want to commend you that this is admirable. Yes, it's very, very, very admirable. The fact that you were proactive to reach out to them. What you said reminds me of an adage that says, out of sight is out of mind. So, yes, you had gotten the admission, but you still had to follow up with them that, I want to come this year. I need a scholarship. What can you give to me? And was it the program coordinator you were coordinating with?
The program coordinator, because I kept their contact from the last year when they said, okay, we don't have any scholarship. We are offering the acceptance, but we don't have any. So I was like, okay, let me keep this contact. The next year, I was like, okay, this year I would like to come. Don't you have any scholarship? That I didn't talk to the international people. I talked to the department
Yeah, the
particularly.
department, the program coordinator in the department, the arts department that you were going to, which is really, really wonderful. And you got a great assistantship.
Yes, I
Yes,
got
which is not free money because you have to work.
work. Yes.
We'll get to the kind of work that you were doing. So let's talk about your visa experience,
Okay.
your visa interview experience. So how was it like in South Africa? How was your visa interview?
Okay. Oh gosh, the process was not that hard. I thought, like, I was just scared. There was a, the site website of US. It's just too much for me, and I'm not that
So many things on it, yeah.
I'm not good navigating that part of, D160. And I had to do my deal after I think you first get your service and then you do your D160.
Yes,
That
160.
part was the most, for me, it was the most scary part of it all, because I was like, what if I get put on the wrong information? What if? But the interview process, when I had finished where I put in my information online, put my pictures and stuff, the interview process was literally, I was actually happy that it was more like personal now, because for some time I felt like I was just like, it was just me and the computer.
Oh wow, wow. So you were happy that it was a physical visa interview.
because it's making it
Wow.
more. It's making it more like, okay, now, I just want something to say you are doing stuff. You are in the right path, or you are, So
Wow.
it
Wow.
is.
That's opposite from what a lot of people prefer because several other countries, I think like UK, Canada, you just submit documents and then you'll get feedback whether you're approved or not. But then the whole appearing in person for a US visa, the environment is already tensed. I don't know the way it is in South Africa, but like for Nigeria especially, and some other people I've
Yeah.
heard from, the interview experience is already tense. So, what kind of questions were you asked?
It was okay. It's also in South Africa. It was tense because if I arrived there in the early mornings, I think I was one of the first people to arrive. It
Okay.
was actually tense, like, oh, go to this line and stuff. It was tense in that sense that it was just intimidating.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody is just there, like you can just see that everybody is just here to win it. What am I gonna
We all want to be approved.
Yeah. So it was a very intense experience. You're like, oh my God, what are they gonna ask me? And then once they open the doors and then you go there, the interview space, there's windows,
Mm.
and then somebody is talking next to you, and then somebody is talking next to you. I'm like, oh God. And I'm not good with those things. Like when I'm doing an interview, I just want to talk. I want to be in a silent space. And then, but you had to do, you are busy. You are hearing somebody speaking this, and you're like, okay, this person is loud. And then it's like they sounding so good, and you're like, they're sounding
Mm.
convincing.
All
And
right.
then there was the question. Then I went for my turn, and then they were asking me why where you going. Basically, they were just asking, um, which school have you been accepted to? And then you tell them where is it, and then you tell them it's in Ohio, and then they ask you what program and why this program. And then I told them, I was just trying to broaden my horizon in terms of arts, and
Yeah.
I wanted to just go to, and they were like, okay, you can do this in this country. Why do you have to go to the United States?
That was nice.
Because I wanted to do it in a much broader space, because the goal is for me to my goal is to Broadway, is to be on TV and stuff like that. So they were like, okay. So, and then they wanted also my documentation, like my scholarship, the proof of, okay, now you do have a scholarship, which I think also plays a huge part in them accepting you, because it increases your chances. I don't know, but I think it did for me. And yeah, it was not that hard questions. It was just like the intimidating space I was in, and also listening to other people. And this person is just asking you questions, that they looking at you quick, and then writing down stuff, and then I knew immediately that, okay, you've been accepted. I was like, ooh.
Oh wow.
They,
Were you asked? And
Mhm.
congratulations. Were you asked anything in line with what did you do in your bachelor's degree and whether it relates? Okay, you didn't have to
I
say
didn't
that.
have to go all of the way. I didn't have to go there. I was just like, okay, that was, which was, they just wanted, I think the hardest question was the fact that you could do this here. Why do you have to go to the
And
United
yeah,
States?
in South Africa.
Yeah.
So why should you travel for it? Congratulations, congratulations. You mentioned Broadway a lot. I guess Broadway is like the pinnacle for art, just like Silicon Valley is like the pinnacle for tech and
Mhm.
AI and all those things. So all theater people they aspire to get to Broadway.
Not necessary. Some people just want to teach them.
Okay.
Yes, it's mostly we want to be there. Even if it's not Broadway, you just want to be in that, because it's much bigger there. I know that I want to do that, because if I'm here, I might as well immerse myself in the full experience of arts and
Okay.
what
Okay. And
better.
that's where you get that full experience.
And also it opens doors for a whole lot of other, because people who go can go from there, go to you see them in many other shows. And also with production, when you do production, even if you're not acting,
Mm.
also with production, you get more experience being there. Yeah. So that's why I was like, yeah. But yeah,
Okay,
there's
nice.
also other.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Your now let's talk about your scholarship. You got a grad assistantship. So what were your responsibilities like?
What
What
were
were
my,
your responsibilities like?
okay, I was in the scene design shop. So basically, for me, it was not even teaching, which
Okay.
was I was so happy about that because I was just designing. Because my friends were like teaching. I'm like, oh, because you're new in this country, what am I going to teach you this students? I'm new in this country. So I'm like, okay, at least now I can. And then that's when, and also that's the reason why I came here is I was also wanting to learn more about designing and stuff. So I was in the scene design shop where you would design stages and you will literally build a stage. Build a stage every time there's going to be a production, you build a stage for it,
Okay.
and part of that team. So
Okay.
that was the best. I loved it. I loved the experience because it was like it was such. I don't know. It deepened my knowledge of what happens. Um, I think that was the first time where I was more involved in the background of
Mm.
theater than just acting. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. I didn't imagine what a grad assistant in theater would do,
Mm-hmm.
apart from like grading and teaching. But yes, as you brought this, these different, yes, where you're designing, setting up, and putting things ready for the production. Yes, that's important for
Yeah.
every time production will happen. Okay, so you got admission, you were proactive, reached out, you got a scholarship, then you went for a visa, got your visa approved, you traveled over to the US. What were the culture shocks that you experienced?
Oh, the culture shocks. More than the weather, like the snow, the coldness. Okay, lasting for 6 months. Okay, okay, that was like the worst. And also, I think also the people. I don't know. It's hard to make friends in America more than apart from the fellow African people. It's hard to make friends with other people outside that.
Mm,
And that was something I was hoping that it would, just to see the experience, how it was, especially in the art space. Like, for instance, I remember, I was in this production where I was helping this person. And then the next day, it's like they don't know you. It's like, I don't understand that. I don't know how to navigate such spaces
yeah,
because
like
I was,
in Africa, if you see someone, you
mm,
people greeted, you spoke, you had wonderful times today. You see the
yeah,
person to know, you're excited to see them. But
yeah.
that's not how it really is over here. Like,
Okay, this
I
is
completely
weird.
understand.
That is such a weird experience for me. So it was like, okay, what is happening? So, and I know, and then I was like, okay, now you become worried that if you meet somebody today and you get along, it doesn't mean that the next day you might get along again. So
All
those are
right.
things that I'm worried about. So it's kind of how I navigate that. It's so weird to me. It's just weird. Unless even now, like if you don't greet me the next day, I won't greet you because I don't want to be seen weird. Which is weird because in South Africa, if I know you today, I'm gonna know you tomorrow. It's like, hey, it's easy. It's
Yeah.
easy. It's
It's
something.
a communal life that
Mm,
we have in Africa, really.
mhm,
That's yes. You see someone today, you see the person tomorrow, you will
mhm.
continue from where you stopped.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
it. That's it. There's no weirdness about it. So that's the only thing that like it freaks me out every time. But anyway, I'm still here.
Yes, I guess I would say it's part of their culture here. Like, a lot of Americans are raised to be independent,
Mhm,
so that also you get to see that when you come over here, especially
mhm,
to study.
mhm,
Okay, so let's now talk about your transition when you were done with your masters.
mhm,
So you now transition to do a PhD. So let's talk about the application process for that. Did you only apply to one school?
Oh, I thought, oh no, that is a different ball game altogether. So after doing my masters, I'm like, what am I gonna do? Was I go work? I wanted to go work basically. I seriously wanted to go work, but I only if I worked, your OPT is only just 1 year as an out student. So what's a 1 year? What's 1 year? What's 1 year?
Let me explain this for the benefit of those that might not understand. So OPT is your ability to work immediately you're done studying. Yeah, so you don't need to apply for any visa or apply for anything special. Just the fact that you studied, you have that privilege to work. Yes, you have to apply to get the card, but you are almost automatically granted. You just send in an application online and you receive your card in the mail. Yes, which is your EAD card to work. For STEM, it's 3 years, up to 3 years, but for non-STEM, which is where arts falls in, it's just 1 year. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I was in this dilemma. I was like, okay, and then my friend convinced me. He was also doing African American studies. Like, let's apply. Let's do PhD because we cannot. 1 year you're gonna do half of that year. You're probably gonna be looking for jobs. And then you're looking for a job for half of that 1 year,
1 year.
and then it's finished. So I was like, oh snap! And then I started applying. I applied to around about 5 schools.
Okay, 5 schools.
Yeah.
Remember their names?
It was Chicago.
Okay.
I applied to University of Chicago, which I wanted so bad. I just wanted to be in Chicago. Chicago is another space, another place for theater. It's a very dynamic when it comes to theater and stuff like that. So I wanted to go to Chicago or Northwestern University, which is also in Chicago. And then I wanted to go to then Buffalo, which is in New York. And then I applied to which was the other one? Was it Georgia? I don't know.
Georgia.
And then, oh my gosh, there were 5.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. So you applied to more schools, 5 schools, as opposed to 1 that
Yes,
you initially with. So what was your profile like applying to these 5 schools?
Oh, my profile at this time, like I've done productions now. I've done. I know a lot. I've done presentations, and that's my. What else? I've got experience. I've worked in production, so I've got much more, and also I've got papers.
Okay.
I know what type of research that I can that I want to get into. So I'm much more, grounded as to what I want to do in the next phase of my life. So that was my profile, but it was still not strong because of my masters, but it was something I could present to people and defend. And
This schools are you?
also BGSU, by the way. Yeah, I did apply to BGSU.
Okay. Which were you admitted in all of them?
Only in BGSU and also in Buffalo.
Okay, BGSU in Buffalo.
Yeah, the other 3 didn't accept me.
Okay, and then they funded you.
They funded both UB and BGSU were funding me, and then I just had to make a choice which one I'm gonna go for.
Okay. Just a quick question by the side. How far is UB, University of Buffalo, from Broadway?
It's far. It's 8 hours. It's still 8 hours. It's still far.
In the same New York.
It's the same New York. New York is actually big.
Oh wow!
It's actually
it was that big.
Yeah, it's 8 hours. 8 hours.
Okay. So what do you miss the most about South Africa?
Oh, I miss my family. I miss her doing like just the ordinary stuff, going to the store, eating food, just hanging with people, just easy life. It's just having an easy life. South Africa is it's not that complicated. Just miss my family most importantly though. It's like my family and also speaking my language. So yeah.
Okay. Have you met other South Africans since you came? Where at BJ
Oh,
at Buffalo?
not really. I've met some people from Botswana, Zimbabwe, and
Okay.
who like their languages are spoken in South Africa. So it's like we can relate to each other because most of them have come to we're in South Africa and then went out, branched out. So yeah.
Okay. Wow. Um, wow. There's so much gotten from today. Not really had someone on the show before that made that far transition
No,
from finance all the way, and then with a work experience in finance still making that transition all the way to theater arts, like a
yeah.
completely different field. So based on your experiences so far, all the things you had to go through to get here, to get into your master's degree and now PhD, will you recommend anyone watching us to consider studying in the US?
I would recommend people to come study, but I would recommend to do it earlier than later. I did it later. But I'm also grateful that I did it later because now I have more experience. But I would definitely recommend it. It's a grueling experience because it takes longer in more than in other countries. Like for instance, also PhD 5 years and stuff. But the good thing about America is that you're also working. They give you that opportunity to have this experience or to work while you're doing. It provides you also this safety when you're
Yeah,
admitted into a program. At least for this coming months, I've got something stable and and also, yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Also, you learn more about the world from the side. I think
right.
also then you can interact with people. It opens up your mind in a very, especially I don't know I know with our programs where it's like the College of Arts where we have to learn about how to deal with people, how to be tolerant, how to express yourself, how to, and how to also be not express yourself because you have to be sensitive to other
Other
people's
people.
cultures and stuff like
Mm,
that. So those things are very important in America because I think America is is this hub of all the world. So you
yeah,
get to see other people. So when you are with a lot of groups of people, you have to be sensitive to all those people. So I think that's another experience that I've taken from them is that you get to meet a lot of other different cultures and you learn about them and you also have to respect them in a way. So it opens your mind
right,
basically. It
right.
opens your mind. You learn beyond just school. So I would definitely recommend that. And then now when you go back to Africa, you start being critical. Like, hey, don't talk like that. Why are you talking like that? Come on, be sensitive. So I
Right.
think, yeah, those are things that
Because you've come here, gotten that exposure,
Mhm.
seeing different cultures, people that don't take things the way you take them.
Mhm.
Yes, that's people's definition for a word. It's two different things. And so
Mhm.
you now have that empathy and understanding. And when you now even go back home,
Mhm.
yes, you're now, why are you being critical of this person? Why are you talking to him that way? You should respect
Mhm.
your fellow brother, your fellow sister.
Yeah.
It's a good exposure, really. It's a good exposure that comes with studying in the US.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. It's been a really wonderful session. Let's go through there are several questions in the chat.
Okay.
So let's just go through them together. King Marv is saying hello. We are greeting you too. Veronica is saying we are here again.
Hmm.
Um, Vicky, it's nice joining again today. Thank you. Veronica said we have a celebrity in the house. Yes, Kush, you're welcome. Welcome to the podcast. Freeman watching live from Ghana. I greet you. Veronica is asking, do you evaluate your transcript before adding to your application documents? So you responded to that. You said you used an organization there in South Africa to evaluate it. Then
And
they
they
sent
send
it to the
it
school.
directly. So it goes with the entire application, but it's a separate thing by a third party company. Yeah.
Okay. Veronica also mentioned from finance to theater arts, incredible talent. Yes, very incredible talent. Okay, Paul is asking, I have only $20,000 and I'm from Nigeria. Which school will you recommend for me in the US? I have a video
Mhm.
coming out later on universities with low tuition. Yeah, like cheap universities you can attend. So you can be on the lookout for the video. But let me just read this response from Kennedy. Kennedy was here 2 sessions ago. He's also in Chicago. So
Oh,
in
okay.
Chicago, yes, he's in Chicago. So he's also just going to a school located in a place with a low cost of living, not just BGSU. If you plan to sponsor yourself, that would be my recommendation. Please do your own research. That's what DYOR means.
Wow.
Yes, so cost of living means a lot, Paul.
Yeah.
Cost of living is you're in New York now, so you can contrast the rent of a house in New York against Bowling Green, where we were previously. Yes, and yeah, cost of living means a lot. Like the fact that you're earning $1,000 a month, $5,000 a month, we just need to ask, where are you staying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because $5,000 a month in California or even New York is not really much if you are in the heart of New York. But then if you're in Bowling Green, you're a baller. Like you're yes, you're really big. So cost of living means a lot. Okay. Vicky is asking, does it mean transcript sent from the evaluation organization can cover up for original transcripts that your undergraduate school is supposed to send? Yes. Let me respond to this one. Do you have a response?
Yeah, so I think you got.
Okay. Yes, that's what it means. If your school is requesting for official transcript, it can either be your university undergrad sending directly to where you're applying to, or the evaluation company sending directly to where you're applying to. Yes, those are considered official. Okay. Okay. Veronica is asking, what's the competition rates at BGSU for graduate studies? Acceptance rate is not usually posted online. What do you think about this, Kush?
Oh, I know people. Some people get turned down. So I think for me, to beat the competition is to apply earlier to increase your chances. In what way? Maybe does he mean competition is like the passing and stuff like that,
Like
or
acceptance rate or
acceptance?
something?
Oh, okay, acceptance in every university. It's like mostly you have to apply early. Um, it's not guaranteed. I know people who have been turned down. So
Yeah.
just make sure that you have everything. Like put your make sure you convince them at the go at one go, because you don't want to be applications take long. There's a whole lot of documentation that's required. Just make sure that you do it well and you do it fully once and for all.
Okay. Yes. And you can also like check the acceptance rate of any university online when you just like put in. Okay. Let me quickly just share my screen because I have that pulled up already. So if you see this now, Bowling Green State University acceptance rate 78.7%. Now this acceptance rate here is actually undergraduate acceptance rates, but it gives you an idea of the competition level in the school. Yeah, you can see Kent State, University of Toledo, 92.2%. It's mostly, as I said, it's mostly undergraduate acceptance rate. But the competition level, I would say, is program dependent. That's why you have to reach out, communicate with the program coordinator, discuss with students currently in the program through LinkedIn before you apply. Yes, because in the same university, a program might have 5% acceptance rate, while another one has 50%. Yeah, it all depends on the program, how they want to fund their students, and the structure of the program, really. So that's what we'll say about the competition. Currently says CHI Town. Yes, Chicago. Okay. Hello, Coach. Your program, was it media communication or theater arts?
It was theater art.
Okay,
Yeah.
theater arts. All right. Okay, when the random one is asking, how different is OPT from STEM extension? OPT, let me just respond to this. OPT, optional practical training, everybody gets 1 year at the beginning. Now, the STEM extension is the 2 extra years that the STEM student gets. So it's also called STEM OPT. So the STEM extension is actually OPT. So if we are saying, if we want to be specific, we'll say OPT is 1 year, STEM OPT is 3 years. If we want to be specific in doing the description. Okay, and then kind of saying, if you type the name of the school on Google, you see the acceptance rate, yes, which is also what we mentioned for Bowling Green State University. Veronica is saying, thank you, and all right, I think that's where we would end it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for joining us today. Do you have any final advice to anyone who also wants to study abroad in the US on a scholarship, just like you?
Just do it. Don't overthink it. Do it. Try, apply, and do it. Thank you.
That's it. Don't overthink it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you.
Okay.
So don't overthink it, as Coach said. Just do it. Make the application, even if you get denials. She spoke about how long her own took. Still keep applying. You want it, you will get it. It's just a matter of time. So thank you so much for joining us today on the USA Playbook Podcast. Till we come your way again, keep believing, keep pursuing your dreams, and hit subscribe on the channel if you haven't already. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.